Democrats gathering today to announce what amounts to their first substantive bill. They're voting as of last night to keep the government open. That's now in the Senate's court. They get to decide what to do about it. But when it comes to what Democrats want to do, substantively, overtly, in terms of what their agenda is, they're proposing HR1. It's a huge reform measure. I mean, imagine if it became law, right? I mean, this isn't all of it, but it's like nationwide automatic voter registration. An end to partisan gerrymandering. Independent commissions have to make nonpartisan congressional districts. 2 weeks of early voting in every state in the union. Ex-felons get their voting rights reinstated. Funding for states to use paper ballots for election integrity. Georgia's a state where they don't have that. Election day is a federal holiday. Prohibitions on states using aggressive voter purges to throw people off the rolls. Candidates for president and vice president and sitting presidents and vice presidents have to disclose 10 years of their tax returns. Dark money groups have to disclose their donors. No more gigantic anonymous campaign contributions. How about a small donor matching system so congressional candidates could get public financing instead of having to rely on PACs and giant donors? That would change everything about who could afford to run for Congress. Restoring the Voting Rights Act that was gutted by the Supreme Court. I mean, imagine if that kind of a reform bill passed. Ari Berman, who is the best reporter in the country on national voting rights issues, he called this today, quote, the most far-reaching democracy reform plan introduced in Congress since the Watergate era. Democrats have been getting ready to take control and thinking about what is most important to them in governance. And you know, they will be able to pass this in the House. In all likelihood, they will be able to pass it as a big omnibus reform package, including all those things I just described and more. They will also be able to break it up and pass it in little chunks if they want to. Some of those little chunks may be able to attract Republican support. They will pass it. I mean, if we've learned anything from seeing Nancy Pelosi as Speaker before, we know that if Nancy Pelosi wants that bill to move in any way, shape, or form, it will move. And of course, it will not come up in the Senate because Republicans run the Senate. And it certainly won't become law because this president would never sign something like this. But this is an important moment, right? When Trump and the Republicans won full control of government in 2016, almost the first thing that they sent to Trump's desk, do you remember the first standalone substantive bill they sent to Trump once they got control? Remember what it was? It was literally a bill specifically and only designed to make it easier for mentally ill people to buy firearms. That was the first thing they thought was the most important thing they should do once they got power. Make it easier for people adjudicated to have mental illness serious enough that they are not legally allowed to manage their own affairs. Make it easier for those people specifically to obtain firearms and ammunition. First priority, first standalone bill. Democrats' first priority, first standalone bill, restore the Voting Rights Act. So game on. I mean, goodbye Paul LePage, goodbye Rick Snyder, goodbye all those guys. Goodbye Republican Congress. It's a new day. There is a national impact. There is a big American impact to these things, right? Paul LePage is gone in a puff of smoke now. Rick Snyder is gone. Democratic women governors replacing both of them and immediately moving to try to fix the worst damage that those governors inflicted on their states. In Washington, D.C., Democrats, led by a Democratic woman speaker, they only get to take over part of the government, and we are therefore still stuck, for example, in this shutdown, as long as the Republican Senate decides they want to hold out and not vote on the exact same bills they voted for before. That would open things up. But today, after passing those bills that would reopen the government if Republicans in the Senate agree, Democrats moved on to start declaring their own priorities now that they control the House of Representatives.
What a difference an election makes. We are introducing HR1 to hold legislation to clean up corruption and restore integrity to government.
Over the last 2 years, President Trump set the tone from the top in his administration that behaving ethically and complying with the law is optional. Ladies and gentlemen, I've stopped by here to simply say we're better than that. We're better than that. It cannot be optional.
I truly believe, deep in my heart and my soul, the way votes were not counted and purged in Georgia, in Florida,
Tell her, John.
in other states, changed the outcome of the last election. That must never happen again
Never
in our
again.
country. Never again.
Never again. Never again, John. Never again.
We will make it illegal. With this bill, it is in keeping with the Voting Rights Act of 1965, where some of us gave a little blood on the bridge.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want to give any more blood.
No, sir.
But we have our votes.
Yes.
And we must use our votes
Everyone.
as a powerful instrument to change things. With this bill, you demonstrate that this House is for the people, and we will choose the side of fairness, equality, and justice over special interests every time. That's the right thing to do, and we will do it.
Amen.
Amen.